The curtain lifted, and there she was, standing center stage, just a child but already holding a powerful presence. In that instant, young Gigi Erneta knew where she was meant to be. I remember sitting there and the curtain opened, and I realized at that moment, this was it for me. This is where I was supposed to be, she would later recall. Born in New York, Gigi's path to stardom was laid out early. At just 8 years old, she embarked on a professional performing career, catching the attention of the Houston Ballet Company when her family moved south. By 14, she was already signing dancing contracts. By 15, she was auditioning for commercials in both English and Spanish. She booked a McDonald's spot in both languages, and just like that, her journey began. Gigi was unstoppable, collecting awards and scholarships, eventually landing a spot at the University of Texas's prestigious drama department. Gigi's career continued its upward trajectory as she transitioned from her life in Texas to Hollywood. But she soon found out that Hollywood wasn't as glamorous as it seemed. "I realized that Hollywood was really hard," she admitted, the memory still raw. "People kept saying, 'You can do that. It won't hurt your career. It's just work.'" And so, Gigi found herself taking roles she wasn't proud of, late-night movies with edgy plots that danced on the edge of decency, zombie movies, vampire flicks. Her face became synonymous with blood, fear, and darkness. People were dying in these movies. There was a lot of blood and guts. It was all darkness, Gigi confessed. And the darkness I was experiencing on set started to manifest itself in my life. The darkness clung to her like a shadow. Despite her growing fame as a scream queen, her personal life was spiraling. In 2007, when her marriage collapsed, so did her sense of stability. "My life got really out of control," she said, a haunted look in her eyes. "In my divorce, it blew up and I needed help. I was raised Catholic, but I didn't understand who Christ was. I used to tell people, 'I keep calling God, but he's giving me the busy signal.'" Gigi's once bright path seemed dimmed by confusion, disappointment, and a gnawing emptiness. It was then that strange things started to happen. People crossed her path, nudging her toward faith, encouraging her to open the Bible, to seek God. One night, alone and exhausted, she picked up a Bible, her heart aching and her eyes wet with tears. "I was crying out to the Lord," she said. "I didn't understand what was happening, but I was desperate for something, anything, to make sense." In the dead silence of the night, a noise broke through. Something unexplainable coming from the shadows of her room. It sounded like gargling, almost otherworldly. Startled, Gigi asked her friend to listen. Her friend sat quietly and after a long pause whispered, "It sounds like the inside of a whale." When Gigi shared this strange encounter with a Christian friend, her friend's advice was clear. "Read Jonah and call me back." Gigi opened to the book of Jonah, and as she read, something inside her stirred. Jonah, the man who defied God's call, swallowed by a great fish, a place of darkness and isolation. In those words, she found her own story mirrored. She realized her life had been a series of missteps, a flight from something she couldn't name. "Every single word came out and just jumped right into my heart," she said. "It was like I knew the answer was right in front of me. I didn't fully understand, but I was ready for Christ." The busy signal was gone. Suddenly, the line was clear. She felt the warmth of a long-lost connection, one that had always been there, waiting for her to answer. Embracing her newfound faith meant making tough choices. The horror roles, the Scream Queen titles, she left them all behind. She packed her bags, turned her back on Hollywood, and returned to Texas. "When I left California, I immediately got into a Bible-based church and started spending lots of time with the Lord. It was amazing. I realized it wasn't just my work that had to change, but the way I lived had to change. And as if by divine design, new opportunities began appearing, opportunities she hadn't even sought out. Doors opened, each leading her further from the shadows of her past and closer to the light she had found in faith. Her latest role, co-starring alongside veterans William Devane and John Schneider in Flag of My Father, was more than just a film. It was a calling. The story explored the struggles of soldiers with post-traumatic stress disorder, a subject close to her heart. When the film premiered at the GI Film Festival, Gigi found herself sitting amidst soldiers who wept openly, their burdens laid bare on the screen. I was in the theater with soldiers and I could hear them crying. Some of them were weeping, she said, her voice filled with awe. I realized healing was happening, right there. I realized my whole life that I was supposed to be doing this. And with that realization came a deeper peace, a purpose she had long been seeking. I always wanted people to feel something deeper, something that went beyond words and into the soul, she said, her voice soft, reverent. Now, I'm reaching out with love, and that's only going to come through Christ. Gigi Erneta's journey had taken her from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, through the haunted halls of horror, to a new life filled with purpose and faith. She had traded the role of Scream Queen for something infinitely more precious, the role of a woman whose life could now reflect the light she had once searched for in the shadows. In the end, Gigi's story isn't just one of transformation. It's a story of a woman who found her true calling not on a stage or a screen, but in the quiet, soul-stirring realization that she was, and had always been, a child of God.